Let me just start with this. I'm a Terry McLaurin fan. I know some of you don't believe that I am. I watch the league. Many of you do. Many of you don't. And I know that he is very good, but I also know that there are 8, 9, 10 guys that I would prefer and I would take over him. But they're not available. We have him. He's great. He was phenomenal last year with Jaden Daniels. I want him back. And I do think, and I'll cut to the chase here, I do think that a deal will get done. I hope it gets done before Tuesday, but I think it'll get done at some point, and Terry will be a part of the team this year on a new contract. If he isn't, and they don't get it done, he is under contract, and it certainly would not benefit him to hold out. Now, could he try to publicly force a trade? He could. The team's not trading Terry McLaurin at this point. You know, with 1 year left on his deal and him wanting to get paid, they're just not going to get enough back for him. You know, it's that situation where when you're trading a player that also a team that's acquiring him has to pay that player, it reduces the compensation. They're not trading him. I can't imagine they would trade him. So let me begin with this, and I've already said it. I like Terry. I want Terry, and I think Terry will be back. But yesterday was not a great look for that side of it, okay? I'm not saying it was a great look for the team either, because he called the team out as essentially, and it's one side, there's always his side, her side, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's hard for me to believe when it takes two to tango that they haven't talked in a month solely because the team wasn't available to talk or to continue the negotiations. But I don't know for sure. That's just my hunch on that. I just thought that thing could have been managed much better and he would have looked much better, because as it was going on, as I said earlier, it got annoying. It was too repetitive. It was too long. He was overselling himself. He doesn't need to do that. We know who he is. I think it should have been 10 minutes, and then the agent can continue to feed the sources he's been feeding in the media. Because we've only heard Terry's side, because Terry's agent has been feeding, various people in the media. That's why we've heard stuff previously. It's not coming from the team, obviously, and we could tell that yesterday. So, number one, Terry's not happy, and he's hurt more than anything else. He's hurt that the team doesn't see it the way he does. This happens in business, man. It happens. You got to get over it. He was, you could tell he was hurt because of the history here. He's a beloved player, and he went through the just absolute worst of times that anybody could go through with an organization, and was first class while doing it. Doesn't necessarily matter to this group because they didn't draft him and they didn't pay him back in 2022. But it's the way he feels. As he said, he doesn't think age matters. He's a number one wide receiver. And I think while he didn't say this specifically, he implied that he's one of the very best number ones. So that's the big takeaway, is just how frustrated, disappointed, unhappy, and hurt he is, because they have come to this situation, and he feels like they should see what his worth is. It should be in alliance with what he believes it to be, and we shouldn't be having this because he's Terry McLaurin, and he has stuck it out, and he's been the most professional of pros. He wants to be here. He really has no choice because he's under contract. He could try to force a trade publicly, but he should want to be here. He's playing in an offense that's perfect for him, with a quarterback who is great for him. Now I'll get to the point where I'm not probably going to make some of you happy, but this is how I feel. Tommy said to me on the podcast yesterday, he was very blunt and to the point. It just went on too long. Again, I would have kept it short and sweet. I would have kept it 10 minutes, more of a statement read after this thing rather than holding, a press conference that got almost unwieldy at the end where he's talking about his Italy trip. And he's very likable, but again, no one there to manage it. I think for me, what's most interesting about this is there are two answers from the team standpoint. One, this is the style in which they are going to negotiate for long-term contract extensions. Remember, Sosna and Newmark have plenty of experience. Penei Sewell, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown. They got deals done. Now, in San Francisco, our general manager, a lot of those deals got done, but there was a process, and it was more or less kind of waiting the player and the agent out. I mentioned recently Kittle, Bosa, and Ayuk's deals were all done very late in camp, just before the regular season ended. August 29th, August 30th, and I think September 4th for the three of those. And remember, Brandon Ayuk was very frustrated last summer, similarly to what Terry is now with the 49ers. But not in, Ayuk, I thought, took it to the point where it was unprofessional. Terry has not done that, And by the way, let me be clear. It wasn't Terry's fault that the press conference went on for 35 minutes. That is somebody in his camp that decided that this was what they were going to do. You got to manage it. But to me, the interesting thing here is it style? And it's just the way the team is going to negotiate, contracts, and we'll just get used to it? Or is it skepticism? Why is this happening? Why doesn't the team believe that it makes sense to get a deal done, maybe even a little bit over what they believe the market to be, and get it done quickly because it's Terry McLaurin? Why? I don't have the answer to that. I don't. But if it's not style, and it wasn't necessarily the style of the Detroit guys, but it was the style of the 49er guy in the organization, if it's not, what is their skepticism? What is it? It may be what I just said. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a year and a half ago, basically, signed a deal that pays him $30 million a year, and he got $77 million guaranteed. He was 24 when he signed it. The first year he played on it, he was 25. And it's hard to make the case that Terry is better than Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's hard to make the case that he's equal to Amon-Ra St. Brown. The numbers certainly don't say that. Yeah, of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown was with Ben Johnson and Jared Goff and an offense that was high octane for the last couple of years. Sure. And maybe Terry would have produced the same thing in Detroit. As I said before, Terry was 19th in receptions, 32nd in yards, second in touchdowns in the league. Where is that skepticism if that's what it is? I have a feeling it's a combination of style and skepticism. I do. I trust right now, and I have a feeling that I am going to be in the minority on this. I trust the team in handling this right now. It's not just a benefit of the doubt situation. Okay, I, was on board with just, hey, benefit of the doubt, Kev, once new ownership took over. And, I want to give somebody the benefit of the doubt because we haven't been able to do it in years. And they have certainly built up some equity in almost everything they've done. Not everything, but almost everything they've done. This is the first big contract negotiation. I think I am on team front office on this. I think there's some smoke here. I think yesterday's press conference was some smoke. And there may have been a little bit more.